I love municipal bonds. Municipal bonds are really fun. Fun, 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 fun. Municipal bonds, come and enjoy.
We are discussing the financial crisis that is U.S. municipalities and their unfunded liabilities. In the just previous episodes 17 and 18, we introduced and discussed the clearly significant portions of U.S. municipalities' unfunded liabilities, that are public employee retirement benefit pension obligations, and a second category that the public finance and muni industry devilishly titled other post-employment benefits. However, do not let this concocted name divert you. The confidential truth is this second category is primarily about public employee retirement health care obligations. Other than a pension benefit promised to retired government workers, public employees are also, in general, promised another benefit on retirement that is health care. Retirement health care is the other benefit. And it is an expensive one. The crisis is that these pension and retirement health care financial obligations have not been strictly nor adequately budgeted or saved for. It is said municipal pension funds are at deficit, or not funded, and thus, the names you will hear more of, underfunded, or unfunded. The simple and necessary financial plan was for municipalities, such as states and counties and cities and all their political subdivisions, to set money aside for these needs, to save now, and continue setting money aside and saving up. The idea was to create special, savings accounts, called public employee pension and retirement health care benefit funds, and inject money into them on strict schedules, and have these special savings accounts grow further via active investment management. And by both continually adding to and actively investing these savings, keep pace with retiree expense estimates. And thereby, these special savings accounts would be there to pay out all pension and retirement health care benefit obligations. Perhaps one way to further explain the importance of these public employee pension savings accounts is to compare them in the simplest way to the U.S. federal government's entitlement program of Social Security and its trust funds. It is important that current generations set aside enough money for Social Security now, so that future generations will not have the double responsibility of paying for previous generations' Social Security retirement benefits, as well as finance their own generation's Social Security retirement trust funds. But this simple and necessary financial savings plan was not to be. Municipal politicians and state and local government leaders found reasons not to fund their public employees' retirement savings accounts. They did other things with the money. They skipped years. Sometimes they just did not have the money. Things worsened. The result is that U.S. municipalities are in want of trillions of dollars in coming years to pay pension benefits. They are in want of additional trillions of dollars in coming years to pay for retiree health care. And they currently do not have the money. The financial and budgetary and credit impacts on U.S. municipalities in regards to both these unfunded liabilities categories is acutely negative. It would be fair and reasonable to blame current and past political and government leaders who chose not to fund the government worker retirement savings accounts. Why did they not add money to these funds on schedule? Not include them in their budgets? What did they otherwise do with the money? The financial problem is real. Promises were made to public employees. Municipalities owe trillions that should have been saved up over the years. There is no avoiding it. Municipalities will need to find the money. So, can anything be done? Are there solutions? Well, in this episode we need to focus on one idea which has unfortunately taken center stage. When you hear the idea, you will be hard-pressed to think it a solution as such. You will more than likely think it a money-making scheme for the municipal bonds industrial complex and Wall Street. They called the idea pension obligation bonds. Wall Street's advice to governors and mayors and treasurers was to replenish the millions or billions in future, if not current, underfunded pension and retirement health care trust fund accounts back up to estimated required monetary levels by borrowing the money. And they were to borrow the money by issuing a new financial product named Pension Obligation Municipal Bonds. Essentially, they advised dealing with a financial liability, if not debt problem, by going deeper in debt. That's it. That's been the public finance and muni industry solution. If you were thinking Wall Street should have better solutions, or even other ideas, you are to be disappointed. But does this really solve the problem? Selling pension obligation bonds merely shuffles the financial crisis from one ledger to another. Municipal governments still owe their retirees promised pension and health care benefits. And now, by having sold pension obligation bonds, they have also fallen billions of dollars deeper in debt. Pension obligations bonds are nothing more. They are municipal bonds. They are debt. Is there a difference between billions in future liabilities and billions in current debt? When all the shuffling is done, not really. The underlying crisis is still there. Just made worse. At best it could be said that by issuing pension obligation bonds, municipalities pass through some of the risk of making retirement pension and health care payments to municipal bond investors. For municipal bonds investors, this is perhaps unfortunately true. It is why I often refer to pension obligation bonds as some form of Ponzi scheme. See episode 12. To be clear, if you have ever purchased a pension obligation municipal bond, which is oftentimes abbreviated to POB, individually or within a muni bond fund, are your invested dollars being utilized to build a bridge, or a school, or finance anything like a public purpose? The confidential truth is your investment dollars, your money, is being utilized to pay retired government workers their pension benefit checks and health care. The same municipalities that failed in their promises to budget and set aside money for their pension funds have had to instead borrow the needed money from you. In turn, they have promised to pay you back by way of interest and principal payments. Let us hope these municipalities do a better job keeping financial promises now. If not, will another issue of pension obligations be needed to pay you the first bondholders? Extending the Ponzi scheme, might the municipality renege on their promise to pay bondholders because, as with their earlier promises to fund pension accounts, they need to, or choose, to do something else with money instead of making interest and principal payments? At this point, in regards to pension obligations bonds, it is not enough to simply say, be forewarned. On this topic of the U.S. municipal unfunded liabilities crisis that are unfunded public employee pension and retirement health care obligations, and the financial solution that is pension obligation bonds, it would be advisable for you to consult your financial and investment advisors. A realistic concern though is you might not be able to find anyone who knows much about this trillion-dollar problem. Next on Municipal Bonds Confidential. More on unfunded pension and retirement health care obligations. We are not done yet.
I love municipal bonds. Municipal bonds are really fun. Fun, 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 fun. Municipal bonds, confidential.